Hey everyone, it's your girl, it's Maddie here, aka Bvrial. And today I'm talking to you about Bvrial from the Portugal-based band Concilium. It's coming off of Sentient Ruin Laboratories. And Concilium offers up a black metal experience filtered through the most vile noise, that if the music is bathing in pure filth. And it is listed as a black metal project, and yes, although I do hear strong elements of death metal, black and death, and even some grind, and it's all put together in a very unique sound that's all their own. The way this is mixed, the choices of which instruments to put up front at certain times, the emphasis on just gruesome punishment, it all makes this a very suffocating experience. Concilium is unearthing just the most harsh textures in a way that is giving new meaning to the term cavernous. The first track, the title, I believe, is the Nepali spelling for what translates into English as I am deaf. And immediately you're experiencing, the moment you press play on this album, the utter hostility with these steady snapping drums and rumbling guitars that serve almost in like a droning capacity. You're just getting these waves of maddening noise constantly thrown at you. And then the vocals come in the most grotesque way imaginable, the way they swell into the music, but almost come in detached from all the instruments and feel a little behind. These growls begin to erupt from what feels like a very dark and abandoned cavern. Terrifying atonal guitar screeches just kind of find themselves in these hidden corners that come into your headphones unexpectedly. This is an album that gets more abrasive and more harrowing the closer you dive into it. Destroyer of Worlds has this muddy but hopping groove. It's very steady and rhythmic, but feels ugly in doing so. And then the guitars have this really rough tone to them. It feels like it's chainsawing almost. There are plenty of times on this album where it is very fast and punishing, probably more than half. But there are also plenty of passages that create this absolutely depraved atmosphere that is given space to decay in peace. This album feels like devil lasagna in the way it's layered, especially with the guitars. You're gonna find different lines and things that the instruments are doing as you give your attention to different points in the dish, different layers. You can hear something coming out at different times depending on just kind of where your attention sparks. And it's a fascinating blend that needs to be enjoyed as one piece. To the Skies You Will Return prods on very slowly. Each measure feels like it's getting muddier and deeper and lower in tone than the last. And the vocals just come off so unhumanly vile. These throaty, raspy screeches don't sound like they are a performance. It feels like something I legitimately need to run away from. There is this heavily utilized echo on the drums. It's an interesting production choice. Makes them feel exceptionally monstrous and violent. There are also those heavily percussive hammered guitar strum that you would expect from, say, a war metal record, and it's paired with these buzzing tremolos and long, sustained, discordant notes from the lead. This track is definitely an experience. Sucks you into the filth and depravity that it's tapping into. And with a record that focuses so much on primal noise, there's still a lot of variation in the sounds and the writing as this thing begins to change speeds, adds riffs on top of one another, switches up drum patterns. It never feels stale. If To Dust doesn't communicate this hostility just by the music itself, listen to the vicious dog snarls and human screams that open this one out. Yeesh. The drums are just let go into these furious blast beats that are in a way laced and blended into the rest of the instruments, and having the weight of the percussion as a part of the buzzing walls of noise makes this music feel even more like it's gonna collapse over you. On Between the Moon and the Mountain, the death metal elements that I talked about in the introduction really come through here with this nasty rolling riff and these screaming guitar licks. And there is this sort of mutated punkish drum beat. The snare pops in a very gruesome way. This track is just so gory and putrid and disgusting with its venomous atmosphere that is conjured. Of Flesh and Bone ends Sky Burial on its longest track at over 11 minutes long, and it comes through with a painstakingly slow, almost Funeral Doom-esque start. You get these big, sustained chords and excessively skeleton drums with a snare hit making itself known every once in a while. But eventually these palm-muted chugs begin to march in, bringing forth this unholy anticipation. You can start to feel these crackling samples being unearthed. And eventually, the racing blast beats are let out of whatever haunted tomb was just opened. I love how the vocals kind of sit behind the guitar and drums, but not too obscured either. It makes the track feel even more impenetrable, but in a way that's reminding you of the impending and lurking evil behind the walls facing you. This track, really the whole album, feels inverted, like it's sucking you into these deeper and deeper chasms of hell, instead of the music coming out of your headphones and meeting you where you're at. Just the way this thing is recorded and mixed, the way the instruments are communicating with one another. This album was not put together and performed with a standard appeal in mind at all. Sky Burial by Concilium is a truly nightmarish affair. It's a blackened death metal album that feels completely lifeless and decaying. You're going to feel pure rot hammering straight into your psyche. The riffs are ferocious, the mixing is intentionally disgusting, and the vocals are convincingly toxic. This album is an experience in the truest sense of that word. And hey, that concludes my thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. It would mean the world to me if you'd consider subscribing. Really helps with the whole algorithm thing. I have a Twitter you can follow. Link to that is in the bio of this YouTube channel. leave a comment. I love getting to engage with those. And hey, keep it metal. My name is Maddie, aka Bvrial, and I'm signing off.